Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Deck Tech here on MetaBroz. I'm Moldy Potion. This is my bro Crax.
Hey guys.
There you go.
Oh, that
Good
sounds
old,
so
nice,
depressing.
warm greeting. Hey guys.
Hey
I
guys.
like it.
Okay.
Today we're going over my Sasquatch's spellbook, which is a mostly forest spellbook with kind of a water sideboard. I'll explain later why I'm doing that, but it's a pretty basic spellbook. It kicks ass and it's relatively easy to pilot. So people who are new to the game and would like a competitive level spellbook that'll really challenge your opponents a bit and give you some protection, I think Sasquatches do a good job with that. They're like the new tribe in Wilderness, and they're a hefty tribe. These are big beasties.
Yeah, Bigfoot got even better because now there's more of them and he has a win condition. But before we get into all the pages, you happen to be shopping at Channel Fireball and you feel like supporting us, you could use the code MetaBroz with a Z at checkout. Won't cost you anything, but it would help us out.
Absolutely. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to support my bro and I more directly and encourage us to leave behind our normal jobs and just do this all the time. Please, if you'd like to do that, go to patreon.com/MetaBroz with a Z. We do an art giveaway and a merch giveaway at the end of every month. We help you guys build your spell books, and I play you on TTS to either help you learn the game or to just help you refine your decks in preparation for the upcoming $250,000 tournament. It's going to be crazy.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. The boring stuff.
Would you mind?
What?
Top left, row.
Yeah.
Row.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
So start with the boring stuff. There are 7 Forest Aura in the spellbook. Actually, I'm sorry, there are 8 because this is a 45 card spellbook. So there are 8 Forest Aura. There are 2 Prism Aura, taking it to 10, and then there are 2 Forest Gods Amber. So a total of 12 resources in the 45 card deck. I think that's the way to go. You want to have more than a quarter of your resources or of your cards in the spellbook being resources. So in a 40 card deck, the absolute minimum, in my opinion, is 10, unless you're running a crazy deck that you get to search a lot, like the Cosmic deck gets away with 8, I believe. Anyway, Forest God's Amber helps me generate aura. I'm running 2 Forest Terra because almost every beastie in the spellbook has a Forest Terra bonus, and Forest Terra bonuses are significant. They take the beastie from a moderately good beastie to an incredibly good beastie when they're in the arena, so you want to have that. I run 2 bookmarks, of course. You got to run 2 bookmarks. I run 1 New Beginnings. Now, this would be something that could be swapped for a New Year's New Beginning if you felt like you were headed into a tournament where there was going to be a lot of water players, because New Beginnings is a bit safer of a spell. You don't have to throw away your cards. You shuffle them back in the spellbook and bookmark 7 pages again. But New Year's New Beginnings forces both players to throw away their chapter, which against a water spellbook is the move. So if I were in a tournament, I might run New Beginnings in my main deck just to help my own consistency. And if I came up against water, swap out for New Year's New Beginnings. Also running Power Up Red, of course. You have to run Power Up Red in a beastie-based spellbook. It costs 3 neutral aura. It takes away Immortal. That's okay. Almost no beastie has Immortal, but it also gives that beastie plus 100 damage and plus 100 life points. It can win you the entire game. Power Up Red, aka pretty much game. First Anniversary Celebration. Now, this is a super tech card that, if you're not familiar with, looks very confusing. It's formatted almost like a beastie page with an attack, but it's a spell. But you would resolve it in the same order as a beastie page. So you nullify all traits on all pages until the end of your next turn, and then you get to deal 25 damage wherever you'd like. It's pretty much the best spell in the game. It's neutral. Any deck can run it. Sometimes it helps you deal with frogmen, helps you deal with Okanto dragons. It's a major problem solver. It's a highly technical card, and it takes a little practice to realize just how good it is, but highly suggest running it in just about every spellbook.
When you cast that, it's on for your turn, meaning it removes traits for your turn. You pass, it goes through your opponent's turn. They pass back to you, and it goes all the way to the end of your next turn.
Right. So like you can play it in preparation. Like if I just think he's gonna drop an Okanto dragon because he has 4 aura, I can play a First Anniversary Celebration nullifying traits, and then the next turn, if he contracted Okanto dragon, it wouldn't have fleet. Or if he brought in stained glass elementals, they wouldn't have fleet. It would all be nullified.
Also, it wouldn't have flying. And wouldn't have magic proof. So just open to everything. It's a really good way to control the arena, or at least slow your opponent down when they are trait heavy.
It gets around magic proof as well.
Yes.
So yeah, awesome card. 5 lightning in a bottle, because we've got a lot of beasties who attack and have powers here. So lightning in a bottle is a key way to let us use those beasties right away. It's amazing. I see a lot of people cut down on their lightning in a bottles. Like they want to focus on the beasties in their deck, and they're like, well, I'll just put in 2 lightning in a bottles or something. Do not do that. I mean, you can do whatever you want, guys, but I'm telling you from my experience, Lightning in a Bottle is hands down one of the best cards in the game to have in a spell book, especially a spell book that has beasties that have powers and good attacks. So go 5, go for the whole play set, then figure the rest of your deck out, because every time one of those pops into your hand, you'll be like,
it.
cool,
So
let's go.
Just imagine if you were a Magic player and a card said attack again.
Right.
So you get to attack as many times and you get first strike.
Yep. And with things like the Ohio Grassman, you can create extra nest tokens. With the Skunk Ape, you can pop poison counters on other beasties. We'll get into that later. But yes, Lightning in a Bottle is a must play, and I would say you must play all 5. After that, probably the best forest spell in the game, Growth. It costs 2 forest aura, and you get to bookmark 5 pages from the top of your spell book. The only downside is you can only have 1, but every time you hit that, it feels great, reloads your hand, gives you a chance to refill the arena with some danger. Germinate, this is a new spell with the Wilderness
like
set,
a baby growth.
but it's the baby growth, and it is, I'm not going to say as useful, it doesn't give you 5 cards, but this is why this is a 45 card deck, because Germinate costs 1 forest aura and allows you to bookmark 1. Then the next page you contract this turn costs 1 less aura to a minimum of 1 if that page is a beastie with the forest terra bonus. The terra bonus doesn't need to be active, they just have to have a forest terra bonus. And why this is so good is because basically you can keep moving through your spellbook and bookmarking pages while you're contracting beasties. It makes the aura you spend work 2 ways. So 1, you get a bookmark out of it. 2nd, you reduce the cost of your next beastie. And what ends up happening is you just move through your spellbook way quicker. You hit your beasties way faster. And that's why I extended the deck to a 45 card deck, because Germinate and Growth really get you through a lot of cards.
I mean, you've got, let's see, 5 potential pages with Growth, then you've got 3 with Germinate, then you've got a total of 4 with Bookmark. So, I mean,
and then New Beginnings.
Yeah, I get it. Okay,
Yeah.
I see why you do 45.
Yeah, you're flying through cards in this. After that, again, one of the best forest pages in the game, Bursting Spiderlings. Heavily underrated until you play it. Once you play it, you're like, oh my god, this is insane. It costs 1 neutral, 2 forest aura, has 50 LP. It's an artifact, has the self-destruct trait, so you can fatigue it and destroy it on your turn to achieve a destroyed effect. And the destroyed effect says, create 10 awakened spiderling tokens that are 5 LP forest beastie spiders with a 5 damage attack, and they inflict 1 poison. If this page is destroyed on an opposing caster's turn, create 5 spiderling tokens instead. This is what I like to call a win-win card. It always does work. Even if the opponent puts in time and beasties to destroy it, you're still getting spiderling tokens for it. You just get 5 and they're not awakened, but usually you get to pop this on your turn, and when you do, you get 10 awakened spiderling tokens. All of them inflict poison. You would be surprised how much damage you can do with those things. You can even throw power up red on a spiderling if you really want to.
I think you have before too.
Yeah, I definitely have.
Yeah, so they only hit for 5, but because they inflict that poison, and is it poison 1?
It's poison 1 per spiderling, but you have 10 of them. So.
Which means that they're really each hitting for 25 by the time that poison goes through. Because you lose 10 life points at the end of a turn for 2 turns when you are poisoned.
Yes, that is true.
Up to 3 poisons at a time.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so those are the non-beastie pages. Now let's get into the beasties that really hold down the spellbook. Ohio Grassman. I fell in love with this right when they spoiled it. It's a new beastie Sasquatch that came out in Wilderness. You can have 6 per spellbook. I'm running 5 of them. It costs 1 neutral, 1 forest aura, has 40 LP, gets a 20 damage bonus from the Forest Terra, has tribal boost for beastie Sasquatches. This is new in Wilderness, so now beastie Sasquatches will be boosting each other, raising their life points by 10 life points and 10 damage on their attacks for every other beastie Sasquatch in the arena. You can only contract this page if a blade of grass is in the arena, so it's going to have to be a 4th wall item on your list. But Ohio Grassman's power, Nest Maker, creates a nest token that's a 20 LP forest artifact, and while it's in the arena, beastie Sasquatches cannot be targeted by attacks. It's crazy because you can just create a bunch of nest tokens and then people can't touch your beasties if they're Sasquatches, and you can just hit their life points and try to race them to doom. It works out pretty well. You can even crank out a bunch of nest tokens and they'll have to destroy them all before they can touch any of your beastie Sasquatches.
It's frustrating
when
you're up against it and you realize that suddenly you can't hit any of the beasties until you remove the nest tokens. And by the time you remove a bunch of nest tokens, which he's probably lighting in the bottle, a number of them into the arena, then you're done with your attacks. And then he can do it again on his next turn.
Yep. And they swing decently because if Forest is out, they're hitting for 40, plus they get 10 damage from every other beastie Sasquatch in the arena. So usually they're swinging for 50 or 60, which is totally a solid attack number.
Absolutely, especially when they only cost 2.
Yeah, now let's go into, this is probably my favorite new Beastie Sasquatch in the Wilderness set. It might be my favorite new Beastie Sasquatch in the game. Skunk Ape. He costs 1 neutral, 2 forest aura. You can have 6 per spellbook, right? Is it 6?
You can have
yes,
6.
I'm running 4 of them in the spellbook. They have 50 LP. They get a 20 damage bonus from the Forest Terra and a 10 damage bonus from the Swamp Terra. They also have Tribal Boost for Beastie Sasquatches. Just such a hefty beastie coming out at 50 and then getting the Tribal Boost. Also gets a 10 damage bonus on its attacks if you are wearing black and white colors. That's another 4th wall item you'll have on your list. Stank Shot is the power, so you fatigue him and target beastie is inflicted with 1 poison counter. That beastie cannot declare attacks against Beastie Sasquatch's next turn. This is a tech move right here. You can drop poison onto beasties maybe that are invisible or have the spirit trait, take care of snow snakes, take care of light elementals. You can just basically eat them away bit by bit with the poison from Stank Shot while also protecting your Beastie Sasquatches from attack. These guys kind of do everything. I like to think of them as pretty much the heart of the deck. Ohio Grassman's cool and it'll keep things safe, but the game really starts to move forward when you get Skunk Apes out, because they're big, they swing big, they poison things, they can take care of spirits and elementals.
Yep,
awesome.
I would agree with you again. So Ohio Grassman, annoying when you're playing against them, great when you're playing, 4 with them. But Skunk Ape is a bigger issue because of the spirit trait that I was playing with the light elementals. That doesn't matter because now he can target them with his power and he can just kill them because by the time the poison hits a turn or 2 later, they're gone. And that tribal boost is no joke. The whole wilderness forest just got so much more high tech.
It's a deep forest now. The Sasquatches can hide. They can't be attacked. They can just hit you and it's so cool.
It is important that you know that when you use the power of the Skunk Ape and you poison a beastie, it's that particular beastie that cannot attack Sasquatches the next turn. Your other beasties still can.
It's just
course,
that beastie.
Unless Ohio made a nest token,
but again,
you got to attack that first.
Lightning in a Bottle combines so well with that Skunk Ape power. You can just pop poison counters onto other beasties and none of them can attack you then. None of them can attack your Sasquatches. It's pretty awesome. Moving on, one of the best forest beasties again, Spider Grandmother. This is a spellbook that's just full of the best hits of forest. Spider Grandmother is a beastie spider, costs 2 neutral, 2 forest aura, 1 per spellbook, has 80 LP, has the venomous trait, so when she's declared as a defender, the attacker is automatically inflicted with 1 poison counter. Regen is the trait you see underneath that. She's going to recover 10 LP at the end of each turn. Also, at the end of your turn, create 2 Spiderling tokens. The 5 LP forest beasties with the 5 damage attack and the poison. She's going to do that at the end of every one of your turns. So she's just an automatic token generator. You don't have to fatigue her to do that. It just happens. It's one of the best arena effects in the game. Toxic Love is her attack and inflicts 3 poison counters, deals 5 damage, and gets plus 5 damage for each poison indicator in the arena. Also, the attack can target beasties with flight. She just solves a lot of problems. Again, it's another card. It's like Spiderlings. People are kind of underwhelmed by it until they play it, and then once you play Spider Grandmother, you start to realize, oh my god, this thing is just so good. I can eat up beasties, I can poison beasties, I automatically am making spiders, I don't even have to pay for them. It's awesome. All right, now let's move into the bigger ones. We have Bigfoot, Classic Cryptid Nation, Sasquatch, 1 per spellbook, costs 4, Forest Aura, has 80 LP, has the Convert trait, gets a 25 damage bonus from the Forest Terra. If you are within 5 miles of a forest, and Forest Terra counts as a forest, Bigfoot gains invisibility and magic proof. His power, King of the Apes, you can fatigue him to awaken or fatigue target beastie Sasquatch. Amazing. Berserk is the power, deals 50 damage and an extra 20 damage to water pages. Now this, hands down, best Sasquatch in the whole game. The only thing that comes even close is the Wood Devil, but this guy being invisible and magic proof, it is just, if Forest is out and you bust out Bigfoot, there is nothing that can stop him. He's amazing. But let's talk about Wood Devil, because this is my personal...
Well, there's nothing that can stop him, but he is very hard to remove.
Yeah.
I mean, you play one of these, new
first
anniversaries, and you remove those traits temporarily.
Sure. Yeah.
Would it still be considered a trait if it's a 4th wall effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's gaining those traits.
Or you paralyze him, right? Somehow. You target him with a power, potentially.
Yes, you could target him with a power, but
like
it's really difficult.
A gasser, you have a mad gasser, and you get a 50-50 success on the paralyzation, and that removes the text box, so he's no longer in. But it takes a lot. It takes normally more than one card, and a lot of the times you're just accepting the fact that he's going to come through invisible for at least 50 damage.
Because you can't attack him, you can't block him, and you can't target him with spells, so he's a problem.
It's an issue.
But Wood Devil, I think, is a bigger problem. He's a beastie Sasquatch. You can have 1 per spellbook. He costs 2 neutral, 3 forest aura, has 75 LP, has the trap trait, also has the convert trait, gets 25 damage bonus from the Forest Terra and a 25 life point bonus also from that Forest Terra. You'll see a 4th wall. This page costs 3 less forest aura to contract if a real tree is within eyesight. That's really more of a casual effect unless the tournament you're playing at has a real tree listed in the 4th wall list. That's not going to be active because it literally has to be a real tree. But in casual play, this dude's one of the most insane cards. When he's flipped face up, he gains first strike for this combat. So that's if you use him as a trap. He flips face up, gains first strike.
He's still insane, even if not in casual play. Yes. Forget that tree shit. He's still a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, totally.
And this is why.
With the tree, he costs 2 neutral aura, which is it's insane. But Devilish Scream is the attack. It deals 25 base damage. It inflicts paralyze, which is nice, but this is the crazy part. You may distribute this attack's damage to any number of beastie artifacts or casters, minimum of 5 damage per target. So if I swing with him for 50, I can deal 5 damage to the original target of the attack if I want, and then I can distribute the other 45 damage wherever I want. To any beasties, spirit trait, invisibility, magic proof, doesn't matter. You can just sling that effect damage anywhere you want in the game. He is basically a wipe in beastie form, and if you throw power up red on him, it's just dummy stupid strong. You get to throw 125, 150 damage anywhere you want.
You can break it up any which way.
You take 20. He's crazy. He's good. But let's move on.
A little too good.
Cumberland Dragon, beautiful star of the wilderness set. You can have 1 per spellbook. He costs 2 neutral, 3 forest aura, has 80 life points, has flight, has stone skin, gets a 30 damage and a 30 life point bonus from the Forest Terra. Once per game, an opposing caster. No, it's all right. You're doing a lot of work here. We're almost there. Any caster can nullify an attack by giving this beastie a flower. Also has the power protect, target another beastie. Whenever an opposing caster targets that beastie next turn, this beastie becomes the target instead, even if this beastie is not a legal target. That's a power we've said before. I could see that doing some crazy stuff, but usually you're not using that. Usually you're using him as an attacker and a blocker because he is just so big. He swings for 50, he inflicts 3 burn counters, and when the Forest Terra is out, he's swinging for 80, and he has 110 life points. So he's just a big hitter, strongest of the dragons, in my opinion.
However, that power protect is freaking awesome because if you do that, and for some reason the other player forgot and targets the one that you targeted with the power protect, then you get the power up red.
Yep.
On Cumberland. So whichever beastie you protect, everything that would happen to that beastie happens to Cumberland instead.
Yep.
So you'd have to basically have an opponent who, forgot. But guess what? I do a lot.
Yep. And you can also, it's just having that effect to basically bluff them. Like if I have a beastie who, like if I have Wood Devil, I really don't want to lose Wood Devil. So I will target him with Protect, because if you do anything to mess with Wood Devil, it'll go to Cumberland instead, and Cumberland has Stone Skin. So he can just take hits. He's awesome.
And potentially more life points with that Forest Terra.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's go to the last one. The giant Bigfoot, the new Bigfoot from Wilderness, 1 per spellbook, costs 5 forest aura, has 80 LP, has 1 regen trait, also gets a 50 damage bonus from the Forest Terra, has tribal boost for beastie Sasquatches, so this monster has tribal boost and gets even bigger. The first beastie Sasquatch you contract each turn costs 1 less aura to contract. If you control at least 8 other awakened non-token beastie Sasquatches, you win the game. So this is a Bigfoot with a win condition who, honestly, you don't even need to shoot for that, guys. I'll tell you right now, it gets plenty of work done just bringing out Sasquatches and swinging for damage. If you have 8 awakened and you win, cool, but you don't need to. I've won plenty of games without ever getting to 8 awakened in the arena.
I mean, he's dealing how much damage? 50 base up to 100?
Up to 100 plus tribal boost.
Yeah,
so he's often swinging for 130, 140 damage pretty easily.
And
throw power up red on him.
Recovering 10 life at the end of every turn. You don't completely wipe him out.
And he's reducing the cost of all your other Sasquatches. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that win condition, that's just like a convenient, scary thing for your opponent to, fear, because you're going to be doing so much with these beasties, with this setup, this spellbook that you have. I think it's a great spellbook for beginners, like you said, because it rolls out mechanically sound. You have a lot of threats that are boosting each other and working together to slow down the arena. And because you have so many bookmarks, you're basically getting 1/4 of your spellbook with aura reductions from like Bigfoot and from the Germinate.
Yep, absolutely. It's really synergistic. It rolls out heavy. It has big swingers. As long as you hit your aura drops, and there should be plenty of aura in here for you to do that. I love the spellbook, but some suggestions for the side deck. I'm not going to say exactly how many of these cards. I think you can decide how many you want to play, but I will just tell you some cards I think are crucial. You're going to want some Lake Worth monsters for when you come up against water, because this entire spellbook disappears when you flood the earth. Nobody has flying. Nobody's a water beastie. So all these beastie Sasquatches just go poof when they flood the earth. Lake Worth monster is a water beastie, so he will trigger your Sasquatch bonuses, but he will survive Flood the Earth, and he lets you bookmark to extra pages. He also gets a Forest Terra bonus, so you can use Germinate. You don't need a Water Aura or a Prism Aura. You can use Germinate to reduce his cost by 1, then pay 1 neutral and bring out Lake Worth monster.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yep.
And you can have 6 per spell book.
Yep.
Now, they don't have tribal boost on them, so they won't be receiving benefits, but they are a Sasquatch, so they will be giving the boost to the others that have it.
Right. So if I were up against a water spellbook, I would probably pool a couple of my Ohio Grassmen and a couple Skunk Apes and throw some Lake Worths in there just to give me some durability for Flood the Earth. And, you know, maybe the chance of hitting that 8 Sasquatch win condition.
Man, or maybe you keep those and you get rid of your big boys.
You can do that too.
Just to have like easier access to a bunch of tribal boosting, bookmarking.
Yeah, you can do that too. That's also a play.
I'd still keep the biggest Bigfoot in just for that win condition, even though it's not what you're shooting for. It's still fun.
He's really good. Yeah, he's really good. But I think that Cryptonation Bigfoot and Wood Devil are really like the stars of the deck. But this is the reason why there are Prism Auras in the spellbook. I am running Dampen in the sideboard. You can't use Germinate to mana or to aura fix on this. You just need to have a Prism Aura out to contract it. But if you're up against a Torrential River or a spellbook like a Flame deck or something that is utilizing spells and popping, destroying all your beasties, just throw the Dampens in and hold on to them for the right time. Like if somebody tries to Righteous Reckoning, wipe the whole board, that's what you're holding your Dampen for. Don't worry about the lightning bolts and the fireballs and things like that. Just throw a couple Dampen in and wait for those big game-changing moments when you can be like, up, 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 up. Nope, you do not get to wipe the board. Okay, so that's why you play Dampen.
Dampen, it counters a spell. That's it.
It's a basic counter spell.
Counter, like he said, or Torrential Rivers or another one that you're going to want to watch
Torrential River, Righteous Reckoning. Yeah, keep your eye out for those really dangerous.
You cannot counter Flood the Earth.
Nope, and you can't counter Hateful Demise.
Right.
You can counter Death Beams.
But it does come in handy. You can also counter Power Up Red because Power Up Red's a spell. And that always feels fantastic.
No, for real. For real. I think Dampen is a very legit side deck move. Next, Bubbling Brew. This is your classic Gumbaroo Exploder. It works really well against Forest Beasties. It also works really well against token decks because of that second effect. Until the end of your next turn, all beasties are dealt 20 damage when they declare an attack. That means that tokens will kill themselves if they declare an attack. So you can use Bubbling Brew to either buy time against a token deck or to just blow up Forest Beasties, because that 5 damage that it deals in the first effect would actually be 25 damage because of aura advantage to Forest and Frost Beasties.
Does Flame have an aura advantage over water?
No, Flame has an aura advantage over Frost and Forest.
Does water have an aura advantage over Flame?
Yes.
Because water puts out fire.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
So Bubbling Brews for Gumbaroos and for other Forest Mirror matches. Absorb Aura, you got to play this, guys. You have to have this in your side deck. Do not even go to a tournament without it in your side deck, because everybody's playing Aurifax. Everybody's playing Lightning Glass. Everybody's playing Chaos Crystals. This will destroy any of those zero-cost Aura artifacts that generate aura, or just a zero cost artifact in general. It'll destroy it. Any dynamite tokens, you can destroy those. Any artifact tokens, nest tokens, you could destroy with Absorb Aura. And then you bookmark a page and you generate 1 aura with the same aura type as the destroyed artifact. It's super tech. You can use it in so many situations. And if you take away their Chaos Crystal, their Lightning Glass, their Mermaid Scale, early in the game, I guarantee you it's crippling, and they will be desperately trying to catch back up because you just ruined their plans.
Also, it doesn't cost you anything to play
it's
this.
free.
You get an aura and a bookmark.
Yep.
So oftentimes I would have these in my side deck, like you said, almost every time, just to see if my opponent was playing Aurifacts, and then I would swap them in. Although we have been doing this to one another, we play our first game with Aurifacts, counting on someone to swap in their absorb auras, and we remove our Aurifacts, so then they basically are holding dead cards, which is why I like to play absorb aura when I have my own Aurifacts, so that I can absorb my own, get an aura.
It works both ways. Works both ways. Super tech card, but you got to play it. And I would say have a full play set of 4 in your side deck. Like for this deck, if I came up against another spellbook that was playing a ton of Aurifacts, I would pull out like a couple beasties, and I'd probably pull out my Germinates and just replace them with absorb aura, because they'd be playing the same role. They'd be giving me a bookmark. They'd actually be generating an aura. It'd be doing the exact same thing as Germinate. Last but not least, we have the Blister Pack promo Cumberland Dragon. You're keeping this guy in there for when they have more big beasties and you need threats that have flying, which is a thing now in Wilderness with all the dragons. It's a great dragon. He costs 4 Forest Aura, has 80 life points, has flight, has a regen trait, gets a 50 damage bonus from the Forest Terra. If this beastie had no damage on it, reduce the next damage dealt to this beastie by half, rounded down. So that makes him very frustrating to deal with. If your opponent's going to try to swing big and kill him in one move, they would actually have to deal him 160 damage to kill him in one move. So he's very resilient, and his acid breath attack, you might think it only deals 10 damage, but it deals 3 poison. So by the time that ticks around, it's actually 70 damage. It's 70 total life loss by the time that attack ticks back. Throw that 50 damage on it, you're talking about 120 damage on this dragon.
I never even saw this guy until today.
He's super badass.
Wow.
I technically like the standard Cumberland Dragon a little bit better just because of the stone skin effect that he has, but this Cumberland Dragon is super badass and totally playable, and I would swap him in if like he was playing Okanto Dragons. That's a match where I would swap in Cumberland Dragon to be like, nope, I have the bigger dragon. That's it, guys. That's the deck. It's badass. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's super fun to play because you always have something that you can do. But, you know, you might run into a situation if you don't establish arena control where you can't erase the arena once it gets set up. There's no wipes in this deck. It's the one weakness that you need to know going in. So make sure you can deal with the threats with your beasties, which is totally possible in this deck.
The closest thing they'll wipe is, like you said, the Wood Devil. That if power up redded, you can deal damage to any target, anything, which is just, it's terrifying. The moment that I see the Wood Devil, that's the biggest issue for me, because he gets around everything. He gets around Spirit. He gets around Invisible, right?
Yep, gets around Magic Proof. He gets around everything.
Wait, does he really get around Magic Proof? Because it's a power?
Yeah, it's not a spell.
Oh, it's just nuts, man.
Yeah, it's true though. That like you don't have. If the Wood Devil hasn't shown up and Power Up Red hasn't shown up, you can just keep holding a Lightning in a Bottle in your hand and waiting for those cards to show up. You can be losing life like crazy. They can be whooping your ass. And if you bust out Wood Devil, Power Up Red, and Lightning in a Bottle, you can completely change the whole board state. So definitely keep that in mind, guys.
All right. I think that's about it. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. I think you guys got it.
We will be back tomorrow with new decks for you guys. Like we said, we're going to be doing a couple deck techs a week, whichever ones we're playing and feeling are the most competitive. We're also going to sit down and do a little podcast, talk about the meta probably this weekend. And if you guys are enjoying the channel and you made it this far, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Also, if you're shopping at Channel Fireball, you can use the code MetaBroz with a Z at checkout. Doesn't cost you anything, but helps us out a lot.
Absolutely. And like we mentioned earlier, we also have a Patreon. If you want to support us directly and our content, you can go to patreon.com/MetaBroz with a Z. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We love you all so much. The support means everything.
It does.
And we will be back on another episode of...
You know what? I don't want to say it this time. You say it. So see you guys next time on
MetaBroz.
Later, guys.
Later, guys.